So let's jump right into it. Who would have thought that as of move 11 from a Roy Lopez, so these were the opening moves, you would have a novelty in this day and age with super GMs. So Hikaru Nakamura, he's got white. Fabiano Caruana with black. This is the Chessable Masters Grand Final. Now Hikaru's already won the first game in this 4-game mini-match, so this is the second. What could Fabi do in response to this aggressive gambit? So a6 played, not gambit, sorry, novelty. The bishop drops back, and now knight f6, and here the most common move for white is castles, but we see d3 played, immediately defending this pawn. So now there is a threat to eliminate, win a pawn. b5 breaks the pin, the bishop drops back, and now bishop c5, the most aggressive square to develop the bishop to. And now knight c3 is played, castles, and knight d5. So hopping straight in, looking to exchange these ones, all part of Hikaru's attacking plan. And after pawn to h6, stopping bishop g5, putting more pressure, well, now Hikaru wants to use that pawn as a hook to rip open the king. So after c3, giving this bishop some room, by the way, in some lines, maybe d4 later, now we get d6, and we see takes with check, the queen recaptures, and this is where there have been so many games that go bishop d5, pressuring this knight. You know, there's a game here between MVL and Giri, there's a Mamagiarov game, but what does Hikaru do? Rook to g1. Now it is the second best engine move, even though it's not his top move. Really aggressive idea, but Fabi responds so professionally here. He goes bishop e6, looking to trade this dangerous piece that's looking at his king. g4, this is Hikaru's big idea, so aggressive, I love it. And now takes was played, the pawn recaptures, and queen e6. So it just nudges to the side, anticipates g5, and after this move of knight h4, more aggressive stuff, opening the queen, looking in here. Well, Fabi plays in such a thematic manner. He goes pawn d5. If you're getting attacked on the flank of the board, so often you want to counter in the centre. Hikaru cranks on with the attack, pawn to g5, and now look at this for a move. Just takes on e4. I mean, how many of us are doing that, right? And here's the idea. It looks like you're getting absolutely ripped to shreds after the pawn takes there, but you can go pawn to g6. And it looks so scary, but actually white is not crashing through. You know, if you try anything like this, well, so what? The queen covers the pawn. Where's the rest of the attacking pieces? The queen can't actually get in. The king can step and join the defense. Knight e7 if needed. Rook f6. You know, lots of pieces around the black king. How are you actually crashing through? And if you push on with the pawn here, well, actually, you're just helping black now attack. Opening the f-file, look at the bishop on c5, look at the f2 pawn. So, Hikaru can't just crash through in such a caveman style. He takes on e4 instead. Now we see Fabi attack the white queen, and here Hikaru actually, the best move when you're running it with the engine is queen g4, but who wants to play that when you're trying to blow your opponent off the board? This is a sample line, and h5 shuts down the g-file. No more g-file attack for you, Hikaru. The rook drops and we're in an endgame position, although the computer doesn't mind it, gives white an edge. But we saw queen f3 instead, not the favourite move of the engine, because Fabi finds the brilliant pawn to h5, a pawn sacrifice if Hikaru wants to take it. And again, it's all connected with this g6 idea. I mean, the computer also talks about starting with queen b3, classic kind of computer move, right? But this is one of the main defensive ideas, that you're not crashing through on g6. If the queen backpedals, well, where's your attack? And if you go here, you're actually just stuck out on a limb, and black's going to start attacking white down the d-file and coming in here and all sorts of nasty things. So, the pawn not captured, what does Hikaru do? Well, he takes here on a6, but actually it's a blunder. Now, you can go g6, another good move, or there's a brilliant tactical shot that Fabi finds. If you can guess what he played, well done. The move here that he jumps in with is knight d4. Now, the question mark is because it's not the computer's top move, but it's still a great move, gives an advantage, attacking the queen and opening the attack here. And the idea, by the way, is that if the knight is captured, well, you don't take here straight away because then white wins your bishop, but you flick in the check, the bishop blocks or king goes, either one, and now you pick up the rook. And this is just better for black, an exchange ahead. So we didn't have that line, but we had something similar. We see this rook take here, the knight takes with check, knight recaptures, pawn takes, again opening this f-file in a deadly manner, and now the computer wanted to go king e2 to cover this knight, but Hikaru goes with the rook instead. So he's now under severe pressure, an exchange down for just the sake of a pawn. Rook a8 from Fabi, he's looking to invade. King e2 comes out of the pin against the bishop once the rook hits a1, and now b4 played. Again, the question mark is simply that the computer wanted to start with rook a1, and now we see captures, bishop d2 challenges, and Fabi decides to keep those bishops on the board. Ignore the kind of symbols coming up, it's just where they're not top moves, right? But they're still good moves. Fabi ahead. Bishop c3 played, targets the e5 pawn, and now you can't defend that in a good way, but what you can do is counterattack with rook f4. Brilliant move. And how is white holding this pawn? Well, you're not, because if you come back with the knight, then you lose this one here. That's awful. And if instead you try and cover with the king, well, then there's various good moves. You can check with the rook, you can take on f2 with the bishop. It's just no good. So we see this pawn captured. This one falls with check. King d3, rook b4 targets the b3 pawn, saying, okay, I'm happy to swap that one for this one. So Hikaru, he decides to cover this pawn. We see the rook double, renew the threat. This knight drops back and covers, and now this pawn collapses on f2, hitting the rook. So it moves away to this d file, and this rook nudges back, hits the bishop, and if you take this pawn, well, now it's no good. You can simply go rook c5 check and then pick up a free piece. So instead, that bishop retreats. We see an exchange. The rook recaptures, and now Fabi starts marching in his king. Pawn to h4, supports this pawn. Rook b4 played, attacks it again, and Hikaru defends. How miserable is that passive rook? We see king g6, king c2, rook f4, just great manoeuvring, preparing to double rooks. Knight c4 stops this rook coming here, but now it comes to the b5 square and covers e5. My computer's lagging a bit, by the way. Let me turn off the engine here. There, the lines are gone. So king c3 played. Oh, okay, king c3, there we go. And now this e-pawn starts running down the board, and they say passed pawns need to be pushed. b4 now from Hikaru. King f5, knight e3 check, and king e6. The knight jumps back, and rook d5, great centralization. b3 on the board, supporting that knight. Rook d to d4, and this pawn highlighted, it's just collapsing. b5 from Hikaru, and the pawn now drops. Rook e3, desperate stuff, going after the central pawn. But this rook now covers. Hikaru keeps the rooks on the board, and that pawn advances on the h-file, another dangerous asset for black. King b4, rook g4 played. King c5, and now rook g3 offers that trade of rooks. You can't capture. This one's so dangerous. So Hikaru jumps away. We see rook takes on b3, and now here Hikaru just chucks a piece. You know, I'm not sure quite what he was doing, but the game's completely over, even if you don't literally sacrifice an entire knight. You know, there's nothing here for white, completely lost. But even if Hikaru doesn't do that, well, black is 2 pawns ahead and an exchange, and okay, this is just getting ground down, it's game over. So Fabi won this one, but Hikaru won the next 2, won the mini match, and they're literally, as I speak, playing a kind of Armageddon-y playoff. Well, not Armageddon, it's best of 2 games. If those aren't actually decisive, then I'm guessing it will go to an Armageddon. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this one. Do hit that like button if you did. Hugely helps me out. Subscribe to never miss a future video. And if you want to see another amazing game between these 2 players, then check out the video on screen. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.